Hi everyone, Eric Nelson here once again, and thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. For today, I am back with another book review on Camilla Crespi's The Breakfast Club Murder. Now, please do not make the assumption that this book has a character where it specializes in cannibalism, because that is the assumption that I made when I first saw the book cover. And I really couldn't blame myself because it has the word murder on it, and there's a picture of food and with a little bit of blood on it. So I believe my misunderstanding was understandable, but in case you are sick of reading about cannibals, please, this book has no has no has not an ounce of cannibalism. Instead, it has many pounds of entertainment. I'm sorry I made that pun, but since I said ounces, I figured that pounds was relevant. But anyway, it does have a lot of entertainment, and even though it doesn't have any any cannibalism, food actually is a very important motif in this book, but not the type of food that cannibals would like. It would just be regular human food. So anyway, the book actually is set in Hartford, Connecticut, or well, I remember it is set in Connecticut, but I believe the small the small town is set in Hartford. But anyway, the pro the main protagonist, or as I like to call her, an anti-hero in this book, is named Lori Corvino, and after coming back from a much needed vacation, she is more than eager to launch her own business in catering, and it's very important for her also because it will help her 13-year-old daughter to I'm sorry, Jessica, because not only is she dealing with her mother and her father's divorce, but she is also going through the normal emotional behavior of turning into a of going going through, being a regular an ordinary I'm sorry, an ordinary teenager. And even though the keywords are ordinary, in that case, it is very emotional. But her emotional or her self-confidence really doesn't build up when her father's new woman, or should I say the other woman, which is actually their family dentist, Valerie Fenwick, actually tells her right to her face that she should lose some weight. It just makes things worse for her. And when her mother Lori finds out, she goes immediately to her office and assaults her. And then she kind of feels this sweet taste of revenge because her husband Robert put her through a lot of emotional problems, which is the reason why she needed a vacation. So it seems like that alone just made her feel good. And maybe it wasn't just because of what she said to Jessica, but just so that she can get some anger out for taking away her husband. But that sweet taste of revenge really doesn't last, because a short time later, Valerie is found to be murdered. And because of what happened, Lori is the prime suspect, but only for a little while because the police actually find out that her ex-husband Robert was in a very poor financial situation right before marrying Valerie, and since Valerie was extremely wealthy, they immediately focused their attention on Robert. Now, because of what Robert had put her through, Lori is actually she actually gets that sweet taste of revenge back because just seeing him rot away in prison makes her happy. But she takes a logical move by thinking, okay, is he really capable of murder? And and then she also thinks, or she very understandably predicts that this is going to put more emotional ch- I'm sorry ch- ch- trauma on Jessica. So she begins to think about who could possibly have done it, and then she also begins to go to the police to say, no, I think he's innocent, I think you need to focus on others. But after that's unsuccessful, she then goes to her friends or her breakfast club friends so that they can help her into finding who really murdered Valerie. And in this case, they use food and recipes as major clues. Now, is that helpful? And also, here's some other questions. Is Robert really innocent? Or is Lori even really innocent? Well, all those questions I won't answer because that's up to you guys to read. So I know that this book does have a familiar plot where there is a marriage or there is a divorce and the other woman is in an argument the with the with the a woman who was divorced from the man, and they have an argument and then she ends up dead, and then yeah, it's very familiar. But Camilla Crespi really takes this familiar plot line and puts it in many different routes, and one of which is where the character of Lori really takes a lot of logical moves, and in the one that I had just described, where she really relishes that her ex-husband may be going to prison, but which is what you see in a lot of thrillers like this. But she does take a logical point of view and say, okay, is he really capable of murder? And she puts her sweet taste of revenge aside so that her so that her so that her daughter won't go through another episode of emotional trauma. And I also like how the mo the food is a real powerful motif in this book, and not just for aiding in the investigation of the murder, but also because it really convinces you to want to eat something. Maybe not after every single time they describe clues, but after a while, it does hit you. So you can get this book anywhere, and I hope to see you all at the bookstore or the iBookstore.